So now I'm just curious to know how you could actually help me grow more outside of what you just shared.
All right, so as I mentioned, the overarching problem, which is even how we started having this conversation, is you're getting clients through your network, through referrals, but now you're trying to figure out how do you move outside of that to what I call the mainstream market, which is people who don't know you. And what I found with those of us in the service business space, we're very good in terms of our expertise on what we know and being able to deliver for clients. We just don't know how to communicate that to other people outside of our network that they see the value. So my job is, how can I take your expertise that you already know and you're already great at, and now translate that to the mainstream market in a way where people will see the value that you offer and want to work with you. And there's an entire process of how I do that. So it starts off with, let's assume that I'm approaching it from the done for you model. The approach would be, I come in, I do an assessment of your business to know what your services, different offers that you have, what your sales process looks like, what your marketing looks like in terms of what you're doing right now, identify whatever gaps exist internally. The next step is to interview past clients that you've worked with, because now I want to understand, well, why did you choose to work with? What does your buying process look like? Because people will, like for example, the meeting you had this morning, why did that person choose to reach out to you? Because if they did a search on LinkedIn, I'm sure there are other people who they have conversations with, but why did they choose you? What was it about what they saw, your content? Is it a specific type of problem that you focus on that really resonated with them and was relevant to them? So it's basically understanding their psychology behind why they buy from you. The next step after that is a competitive analysis, where I'm looking at, based on your recommendation, your top 3 to 5 competitors. All right, how do they position themselves in the market? How can we now differentiate how you're positioned versus how they're positioned? And then once I get all of that information, we put together a content strategy based on the data. The data is showing us that these top 3 problems are the most common in terms of why someone will want your specific services. So we need to create content around these top 3 problems. And we're going to create 3 types of content. Content that brings or highlights the problem of these top 3 problems. The second type of content is content that builds what I call your brand authority, which is you sharing your expertise, but doing it in a way that it positions you as the go-to expert for what it is that you offer. So people say, oh yes, even though I don't know personally, I've never done business with her, but just based on what she's saying, it kind of seems like she knows what she's talking about. And then that next step now would be, how can we translate that authority and attention into actual leads for your business? And that's where the workshop element would come in, where you're bringing select people in that private setting to further engage them and now show them a deeper level outside the content that you would have posted on LinkedIn.